climbed a tree or been in a treehouse? Today, we're going to explore the wonderful world of trees, how to identify them, and what you can do to protect them.
Trees come in all kinds of different shapes and sizes. Have you ever wondered how to tell the difference between them? One good way to help identify a tree is to look at its leaves. Each type of tree makes a different kind of leaf. Let's take a look at a few. The ones that look like Christmas trees are called coniferous. Coniferous trees make long, pointy needles, like this one from a pine tree. You might have also heard these types called evergreens because they don't lose their leaves in fall and winter. Deciduous types, like oak or maple, make flat leaves. These leaves change colors throughout the season from green in spring and summer to brown, red, or gold in fall. Deciduous trees lose their leaves when winter comes. Oak is a type of deciduous tree, and an oak leaf looks like this. See the wavy outline of it? Have you ever seen one of these? Another kind of tree that's pretty famous is the maple, where maple syrup comes from. A maple leaf is so famous and clearly shaped, it made its way onto the Canadian flag. In nature, a maple leaf looks like this. If you're not sure what kind of tree you're looking at, you can always look it up using the free Seek by iNaturalist app. You use it by opening the mobile app and pointing your smart device camera at wild plants or animals that you want to identify, and see if any results come up. Seek by iNaturalist is the best family-friendly option because it doesn't collect or store user information, so it's safe and kid-friendly. Now that we have some tools, let's go out and explore!
All vertebrate animals that live on land have lungs. They transfer oxygen we breathe into our red blood cells while also removing the carbon dioxide. We breathe that carbon dioxide out. In a way, trees are the lungs of the planet. During a process called photosynthesis, they take in the carbon dioxide and mix it with water and energy from the sun. The leftover product from this process is, you guessed it, oxygen.
That is a nice tree. Don't you think that that's a nice tree? As you look behind me, you can see lots of treetops. We're so lucky to have so many nice trees here in Fort Worth, Texas. But the tallest trees in the world are in California. They are called California Redwoods because of the reddish-brown color of their bark. These trees can easily reach heights of 300 feet tall. That's like a whole football field or 8 school buses. Out of all the redwood trees, the tallest one is named Hyperion. It's 379.3 feet tall. The location of Hyperion is kept secret for its protection, but it is somewhere in the Redwood National Park in California. Do you remember how Olivia told us about coniferous and deciduous trees? This one here is a deciduous tree, but the redwoods are coniferous evergreen trees, and they are among the oldest living things on Earth. Each one can be anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 or more years old. I guess it would take a really long time to grow that tall, huh? And over the years, these trees are home to all kinds of animals and insects. When we think of what lives in trees, we usually think of birds, and redwoods are no different. There are sparrows, blackbirds, woodpeckers, and wood warblers, to name a few. But there are also bats and chipmunks and flying squirrels that live in them. Plus, there are whole communities of worms, frogs, toads, salamanders, snakes, lizards, and the banana slug, which is the largest slug in North America and second largest worldwide. It grows up to 8 inches long and can live for 7 years. Now, I've talked a while about how tall these redwood trees get, but here is a bonsai redwood from the Pacific Bonsai Museum. Bonsai is a very old art form where you train a tree to grow like a miniature replica in a small tray or pot. It originated in China and Japan, and now people all over the world take part in the tradition. You can grow any species into a bonsai tree, but it's typically done with plants with small leaves so the proportions look right. Here are some bonsai trees on display at the Fort Worth Botanic Gardens. It takes diligence, dedication, and special techniques to maintain bonsai trees. So from the tallest to the smallest, trees are incredible, and there's one just your size waiting for a nice big hug.
When you look at a tree, what do you see? Can you see how the crown or the top of a tree creates shade for everyone walking and picnicking below? Do you see big and sturdy tree branches, strong enough to hold you up while you swing? Or maybe you see the bark on a tree trunk and notice it's a cool place for you to write your name. Trees are extremely important for us and other animals, but did you know that plant scientists have discovered that trees are like a family or neighbors that look after each other so that they can survive? Baby trees or seedlings depend on their older tree family members to grow. When a baby tree is too short to get sunlight from the sun, the mother tree passes them sap and other nutrients in the ground. Large trees also feed each other. When trees get thirsty, they complain and their trunk begins to vibrate like a grumbling stomach. So the trees standing closest to a water source will extend their roots and pass water to the thirsty tree. Trees are like super ninjas and help each other fight off their attackers or animals that try to eat them. Acacia trees can sense when giraffes are eating them because they can chase their spit. So the trees change the flavor of their leaves and make them extremely bitter. Giraffes think it's gross and stop eating the tree leaves. The giraffe will then move on to another acacia tree to try and eat it, but the acacia tree sends off a scent to warn the other trees that the giraffe is coming, so the other trees turn their leaves bitter too. That's so cool. Now that we've learned about the uniqueness of trees and how they protect themselves and each other, let's learn about how workers in your community ensure that trees and forests thrive and grow in your neck of the woods. Raise your hand if you knew Fort Worth had its own tree farm. Right now I'm at the Rolling Hills Forestry and we're about to meet up with our friend Hannah Johnson. That's her right there. Hannah is a scientist with the Fort Worth Parks and Recreation Department, and she helps plant and grow trees here at the farm so that they can be moved and planted in parks, schools, libraries, and even in your neighborhood. Now let's catch up with Hannah so that we can learn more about the tree farm, how trees grow, and even how you can learn to take care of the trees in your neck of the woods.
The Rolling Hills Tree Farm is a 71-acre property that the city has. It's a municipal tree farm that started in the mid-'80s where they started to operate here. And so we have anywhere from 20 to 30 different species of trees, and that can range anywhere from 15 to 20,000 trees growing here at any given time. So the community tree planting program has a group of 5. So there is a crew leader, the supervisor, there are 2 greenhouse attendants, and then 1 maintenance worker, and then myself. And so what we will do on any given time is we are planting, transplanting, pruning, weeding, mowing, keeping up the irrigation, all sorts of duties that happen here at the tree farm. So it starts at a seed, and then we plant our seed, and that first little part that comes out is called a sprout. So you can see here the seed is at the top, and it has, the radicle has formed and it's shot up out of my bullet. And then next, as it grows, we have our seedling. So there's still a lot of green on the stem, just not quite big enough to really transplant into a bigger container. So next, as we go, and this is what we do here at the tree farm, is we transplant from one container to the next. As we get bigger and we go into a sapling. So our sapling is starting to form this woody stem. So it's getting a little bit bigger, and you can see we've moved it into a bigger pot because it needs room for those roots to grow and get big and strong. And then it starts to get bigger and bigger. So we have seed, sprout, seedling, sapling, and then we have our mature tree that you see in your yards or in the park. And as that tree grows and matures, it puts on flowers and produces more seed. So we go out and collect seed and start all over again. Children can work here, volunteer at the tree farm. We have volunteer Saturdays every 3rd Saturday of the month in the mornings. And so groups can call me, schedule with me, and we can schedule a time that they can come out. Even if it's not on a Saturday, I will work with you. Of course, parent supervision is here, but of course, we love volunteers here at the Tree Farm. In fact, we can't do all of this without our volunteers.
Thanks, Hannah. Now that we've learned all this information about trees, let's learn how to say some words associated with trees in Espanol.
Hola todos! Hello everyone and welcome to Un Minuto en Español, where you have an opportunity to challenge yourself and see how many vocabulary words you can learn in 1 minute in Spanish. To get a great big árbol, you first have to find a perfect spot to plant a semilla or a seed. That little semilla will begin to grow into an árbol, and then the árbol will grow ramas or branches, and then those branches will grow hojas or leaves. Some árboles will give you frutas or fruit. Others will give you beautiful flowers or flores. They all give you oxígeno. Oxygen. What kind of tree is your favorite?
If you cut a tree, does it bleed? Trees don't have blood, but they do have resin, which is a liquid that is stored in special cells in the bark. When a tree's trunk or branch is cut, sticky resin oozes out and hardens to create something like a scab over the wound. Resin ranges in color, but is usually clear or a translucent yellow or orange. A few special trees have resin that is blood red in color. One of these trees is the dragon tree from the Canary Islands. Its bark even looks like dragon scales. Another is the rosewood cup from Laos, and the bloodwood tree from southern Africa, and the dragon's blood tree from Yemen. Red resin from trees is often called dragon's blood, and it has been used to treat human wounds and illnesses and to dye things red, like lipstick and the famous Stradivarius violins. Dragon's blood also has a long history of magic and story. What story would you tell about a tree that bleeds red?
Compared to humans, trees can take a lot longer to grow. In colder climates, it can take as much as 120 years for a tree to reach full maturity. Deforestation is the permanent removal of trees to make room for something else besides forest. Consequences of deforestation include flooding, erosion, loss of biodiversity, and displacement of indigenous communities. A sustainable way for wood producers to avoid deforestation is to plant new trees in areas that have been harvested. Now, here's a challenge. Take a look around you. What things do you see that are made of wood? Maybe you see a table, some chairs, and even upholstered furniture like a couch can have wood inside. Now, imagine how long it took that wood to grow. Because trees take such a long time to grow, we should be mindful about how we use the resources and how we treat the Earth's forest. What you could do is you could recycle your items around your house. For example, instead of trashing an old piece of furniture, you can donate it so that desk can get a second life. Another idea is to support the Arbor Day Foundation. Or better yet, you can plant a tree. Like they always say, the best time to plant a tree is now.
Have you ever heard of a rainbow tree? It's a type of eucalyptus tree that grows in the Philippines. Nobody painted those streaks, it grows that way. The rainbow eucalyptus tree grows up to 250 feet tall, and when the bark sheds, it leaves all those pretty colors behind. Red, purple, green, orange. Some people grow it in places that never freeze here in the US.
This episode has been tree-rific, but now we need to make like a tree and leaf. Before we go though, here are some ways to keep the fun evergreen. Check out these titles from your local Fort Worth Public Library branch using either in-person or curbside pickup. The Magic and Mystery of Trees, written by Jen Green and illustrated by Claire McElfitrick. This book will provide you with interesting facts about trees and introduces the concept of forest ecology. It starts with a seed. Words by Laura Knowles, and pictures by Jeannie Weber. Journey through the seasons and years to watch a single seed transform into a mighty tree. Don't forget to spot all the creatures that make it their home. Elephants Do Not Belong in Trees by Russ Wilms. This is the story of Larry, an elephant, who wants to live in a tree. This is a story about being the new kid and being different. The 13-Story Treehouse by Andy Griffiths, illustrated by Terry Denton. Who wouldn't want to live in a treehouse, especially a 13-story treehouse full of magic, fun, and mystery? In each book in this series, the treehouse gets bigger, and so do the adventures. The city of Fort Worth has 291 parks, which equals a total of 12,495 acres of land. That's a lot of space for a lot of trees. Find your closest park by visiting the URL on your screen. You can also visit the Fort Worth Botanical Gardens to explore all kinds of trees and other foliage. Don't forget, with your Fort Worth library card, you can check out a Fort Worth Botanical Garden pass that gives you free access. You can even place a hold for this pass through the library's online catalog. We all have been doing a lot more work from home, and you might be tired of sitting at your desk day after day after day. Give yourself a change in scenery and work under the shade of a tree while using one of the Wi-Fi hotspots the library offers to keep you connected. Reserve your Wi-Fi hotspot by either visiting your local branch or through the online catalog. Get expert advice for tree care, tips, and techniques by visiting the Arbor Day website. Go to www.arborday.org/tree/tips to find out more. Don't forget to celebrate Arbor Day, which happens at the end of April each year. There are a lot of fun educational activities over on the treesaregood.org website, including activities for the classroom, in the community, and even online. Smokey the Bear is famous for saying, "Only you can prevent forest fires." Did I do a good job? Check out Smokey for Kids website to learn more about preventing wildfires and some interactive games as well. The URL is listed on your screen. That's all the fruit you'll be able to pick off this tree of knowledge. We'll see you next time.